Okay, when it talks about something really important that is not on any Nikon lens box, it's not on anybody's lens box. But this is definitely an issue. This is an expensive NIKKOR lens. This is the 14 to 24 NIKKOR, which has been surpassed by the Tamron 15 to 30, by the way. Interesting. If you're buying a lens, what do you think you're getting? Did you buy it based upon some supposed expert ambassadors fronting of an image? And you see, now we all know that it's like, well, you stick a tool in the hand of a master craftsman, they can make a beautiful boat or whatever. The right tool in the right hands will do wonders. If you stick like a dull hammer and a dull chisel in the hands of a master, he'll suffer and struggle, but he'll churn out something good. But it certainly won't be anywhere near as good as if you gave him like a sharp chisel, a sharp woodworking tools. We all kind of understand that, right? We understand that it's not the tool, it's the person that uses it. What about the other level of that? How much of it is the lens, and how much of it is the damn computer? You see, here's the notion that you're not getting, and here's the lie and the deception, and that is what it is. There are different sorts of lies. There's lies of omission, there is obfuscation, there is outright deception, like if someone says just the camera, just the lens, and it turns out you've got the original pictures, the heavily photoshopped one in the original, and you go, that ain't the lens, that's Photoshop, that's this. That's not this lens, that's this. I'm going to ask you something. I don't find it on the side of my box. And I want to ask the Nikon ambassadors out there that are like submitting pictures on, I don't care who photoshops their images, give a damn. You do that on an unreleased lens and don't have the raw files to look at, or you just post them and say, listen, this is untouched. This is exactly how it dropped off the SD card. Okay, or the XQD card, whatever the case may be. There is not on the side of any of my Nikon lens boxes, it doesn't say, for decent results, you know how there's always a disclaimer at the bottom of something? It's like, this crap is going to give you cancer. It does not say on the bottom of my Nikon lens box, doesn't say, for decent results, purchase of Photoshop required, and having a computer. Obviously you need a computer, it's digital photography. Yeah, for decent results, purchase of Photoshop required. No, I mean, if someone is submitting images to you, and I keep hearing this BS apologistic excuse, and it's okay if the lens has been out there in the wild. If someone is submitting you images that are 60% Photoshop and 40% lens, and you buy a lens based upon that, and you're like, what the crap, man? I don't know. I know I don't have the photographic skills of the dude that I saw the images from, but I mean, the output of this lens does not at all match, what I saw. If you're going to tell me that you're selling a two-legged animal, two-legged person, and it turns out they got one leg and an eyeball's missing, and that what you did is that you're selling a one-legged, one-eyeballed critter, and it turns out that you replaced the missing leg and the missing eyeball with Photoshop, then I don't think that's very, that's not very conducive to, reputation. And I say any big business is like a politician. If a politician is talking, they're usually lying. So people say, well, you shouldn't be shocked by that. Oh, why shouldn't we be shocked? I mean, I'm not shocked at all, but should we accept that? I mean, should we bend over backwards and just, it's like, this is just the way it is, There's the lens, and then there's your interpretation of the lens. If someone submits a bunch of pictures and they say, this is from the lens, no, this is your interpretation of the lens after you got done screwing with it a bunch in Photoshop and Lightroom. I'm not buying, here's the important thing, it doesn't say that on the side of I am not buying your expert Photoshop skills. There is nobody on earth that has ever bought a lens that, I'm going to look in this box. I'm going to see if this lens comes with your Photoshop editing skills. No, it's not in there. No, it's not in the lens, and it's not in the box. And no, it doesn't There's no like magic dust that puffs up in my face that says, you know, this lens's output is about 60% decent. The other 40% you could fix that in Photoshop. Is that in the box? Have you ever bought a lens that like came with some ambassador or some professional's Photoshop skills? Really? It's kind of like a race car driver. It's like, you know, you don't have the skills of the race car driver, but if you got behind the exact same car, it's like, you know, you're not going to drive as good of. And this is the same thing in photography. This is like the perfect analogy. No, I don't like race car driving. I mean, I hate that sort of hillbilly stuff. But I used to live behind the Daytona Speedway when I went to photography school, and you could hear the cars going around the track, meow, meow, all night long sometimes. You know that you're not going to drive like the master race car driver when you buy the lens. In that case, the car analogy. So you know you're not going to drive like him because he's a pro, right? What they don't tell you, and this is exactly the same thing. You know, this is the lens I'll buy. You know, it also doesn't come with the pit crew of 10 people. And this would be applicable to someone with the master Photoshop skill. I'm pretty good at Photoshop. I mean, certainly nowhere near as good as the person that was heavily editing these shots to make them look passable. And I do mean that literally. They make them look decent or passable because the originals, like, ooh, no. No, there's no way I'd buy this lens off those original pictures. No way. There's the lens, and you know. We know you don't have the skills of that professional photographer, but you don't also have the pit crew that's constantly adjusting and tweaking and you know, fine-tuning everything, and that is, you know, directly relevant after you've taken the image. I'm going to adjust and tweak and use the sliders, and I'm going to take a lens that's halfway decent and make it look decent. What's your opinion on that, huh? If the lens hasn't been released yet, I am not buying your Photoshop skills. You're going to front me some pictures that look like that? I'm buying a lens, and that lens does not come with your Photoshop skills in the box. It's like, well, I can make it look that way if I, you know, had like a 10 bazillion hours of Photoshop training. How about this idea? How about you and I buy a better lens with better output that we don't have to sit there and scratch our fannies in front of Lightroom and Photoshop for so much longer? Does that seem like a wiser idea to you? At least just front the raw output files. You know, post is like, here's the raw files directly as they came in. The other issue with that horrible lens, the output, I've seen pictures from 6 different photographers, it's not just one, especially when that lens, you take a bad lens and you stick it on the D5. The D5 has an optical low-pass filter, i.e. an AA filter. So you took a bad lens and you made it worse because the D5 has an AA filter, and AA filter makes things fuzzy. And that is like making a sandwich out of bad. It's like, I got a bad lens and I'm going to add an AA filter on top of that. It's like, ooh, God, that's going to suck. Yeah, but I can fix it on the computer, you know. Oh, but what I'm going to put in the caption underneath the picture is just the camera, just the lens. And that is just a lie. Right? No doubt about that. I don't care what anybody thinks about me or those images, but if you tell me that that is just a camera and just a lens, and I got the hardcore proof that it sure as hell is not just a camera, just a lens, then that is an L-I-E lie. There's no denying it. There's no denying it. Hi. By the way, I'm not angry.